Hello everyone, this is Rodeless, and today we are going to finally finish, what is that? Get that out of here. Okay. Finally finish working on Tails' model. Now, technically I'm already done working on Tails' model, but you didn't get to see that, so I feel like I've cheated you. I've already put him in renders, I've put him in pictures and things like that, but I really want to go back and show you exactly what process I use. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Tails' file right now, wherever he happens to be, because honestly I haven't worked on him in quite a while. Let's go up and find Tails and go to tails.blend and open him up. So you're going to see where I left off. Unfortunately none of this stuff was recorded, so you see he's got his textures, he's got his shape keys and everything like that. All of this has got to go because I've got to show you how I did all of that. So we're gonna go ahead and speed up the video real quick while I get rid of these things, and we're gonna come back in just a moment. All right, see you then. Okay, now we are back. We are ready to go ahead and redo everything that I just undid because I wanted to show you guys basically how this is done on this level. We're going to create Tails' facial shape keys. Essentially, we're going to put some bones in his face, and then we're going to use those to drive the shapes in his mouth, in his eyes, his jaw, everything like that, so he can make expressions 10 times easier. In fact, that's it's like 100 times easier to pose his face when you have facial shape keys and things like that. One other thing we want to do is... yeah, we're going to do just that today. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start. First thing we're going to want to do is to create the bones that are going to control his eyes, his eyebrows, his eyelids, his eyebrows, his mouth corners, and his jaw. Essentially, that's what we're going to work on right now. So we're going to go ahead and start by going into edit mode in the what's it called? Skeleton, in his bones. Absolutely. Go to tab, and we're gonna go ahead and use his head as kind of like a base. No, we're not gonna do that. We're actually gonna make straight up new bones. So Shift S. We're gonna put the cursor to the Control Z. Shift S, cursor to selected. Shift A. That way we get it right there, and then we grab. It's already grabbed. So Control L. No, we can't do that. Fine. We're gonna move it. There it is. Alright, so this is our first bone here. We're gonna copy it a couple of times. We've got x-axis mirror in, so it's gonna make it a lot easier to do this. So we're gonna hit Shift D, grab this, move this over here, and we're gonna make this his top eyelid. So we're gonna name it. We're gonna name this bone right here top lid left. That's not how you spell top. You spell top with a T. That's at least what my teacher told me. She might have been wrong. Miss Pyle telling me how to spell things, not even knowing herself. Top lid dot L. Enter. We're gonna copy this. Control C. Oh, let me turn on the screen display, because that's easier. Makes it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. And so that's that. We're gonna go here, change bone. We're gonna go Control V, and erase that L, make it an R, and then Enter. Now it is a mirror image of this thing. So when I move it, it goes over there instead of being in the center. You want to start from the center though, because it makes sure that everything's symmetrical and runs in a certain way. So we're gonna scale this down. Scale Z. And right now it doesn't quite matter where they are, but I'm going to move them closer to his eyelids where they're going to end up being. So we're going to Shift D, and we're going to move this up a little ways. We're going to make note of how these things are actually shaped or pointed. The Y-axis is pointed up, Z-axis is pointed out towards the screen, X-axis is where X-axis always is. So it's a little bit flipped than what is usually how it is, but it doesn't matter so long as we remember that that's how these are scale. We're going to rename this eyebrow, or actually we're going to get a little more we're going to be a little smarter about the way we name these bones. So since it's not a deforming bone, we're going to call it F C for face control. FC brow dot L. Okay, we're gonna add that that FC nomenclature, so that way it's easier later. You'll see what I mean. Control copy. Rename you. Control V. Brow.R. Enter. Instead of just top lid, we're going to call it FC top lid.L. Enter. And then we're going to rename this thing because now it will no longer mirror to FC underscore top lid.R. Enter. And yeah. You might notice something different about the way I'm sounding here. You can probably hear my keyboard and everything clicking in the background. The way I used to make these videos is that I would do everything that I needed to do and then give my commentary over previously edited footage. Right now, we're going to try something different. We're going to have me talk as I'm doing it, and then anytime I'm not talking or something isn't being divulged that is important, then I'll speed it up then. That way I can spend time luxuriating in the details. And I know you guys love it when I luxuriate and waste time explaining stuff. I mean, we'll see if this works out. You'll let me know, I'm sure, in the comments, should you feel like it. You're like, hey, Jonathan, don't do that anymore. Roadless, you cad. I liked it when you kept things going and didn't spend like an hour talking about eyelids. So this is going to be bottom lid, FC bottom lid instead of top lid. BOTTOM. Yeah. And we take this 01 thing because Blender automatically adds numbers to things that are being made copies of, so it doesn't get confused. And I understand that. I appreciate that, but I don't want it. So Control V. Alright, so we got his top lids, we got his bottom lids, because that's where they technically are. If you remember, deep inside of his face, his eyelids reside. You can't see them now, but you will later. They're right there. Control L, you can see them there, sort of hiding away. And that's why I'm putting his bones down there relatively right in front of where they'll be, like, actually located. Once again, you will see that there is a method to this madness. At least I hope you will. Alright, so we're going to go down to this mouth corner, Shift D once again. Move down, scale it a bit. Move it in here to his sides of his mouth. Hit 1 to kind of center everything so I can see what I'm doing here. FC mouth corner is what we're going to call this one. Mouth corner dot L. Enter that. Delete this. Control. Oh. I may have added another bone. Oops. Control V. Make sure all of these things are named properly. Bottom lid R. Bottom lid L. These don't need to be big. The size of these things doesn't actually matter. They are, at least not right now. They're just little things so that I can see where they are. It's not terribly important, their size. Alright, next thing we want to do is Shift D. There will be no x-axis of this because it's going to be his lip, his top lip. We're going to delete that one, delete this bone. And we're going to make sure that this thing is centered on the x-axis. One moment here, we're going to see about its position in space. We're going to make sure that is 0 and that its tail is at 0. So it's right there, dead center. We're going to move this up to the front. And we're going to call this one FC top lip. And in fact, it's not a .L, it's just a top lip. There's no left or right with this. It just is a single image. So, not an image, but a single bone. Shift D. Nope. That didn't work the way I wanted it to. Alright. Wait a minute, what? Oh. What? FC mouth corner, FC mouth corner.r. Why is it? Oh, because I turned off Max Mirror, that's why. That's fine. That's acceptable. I was just worried. Okay. I didn't need to worry. Shift D. We've made a duplicate, so we're going to bring this down here. This is going to be, as you probably guessed, the bottom lip. And we're going to put his bottom jaw on there. We're only really going to make one for his jaw because there's really no need to get too crazy about where all of his bones are. But we'll still call it bottom jaw just in case I want to add a tooth movement at the top. This is really just to make sure that I'm not confused. And as the person working on the model, it's the most important. I'm the most important person who's not confused. You know, it needs to be... I need to get it, basically. It needs to make sense to me. And if you are working with multiple people, I'm told it's important to make sure they get it too. Otherwise, you're going to have a big mess of a project. No one knows what everything is, and like the animators are mad at you because they don't understand why you named the bones the way you did. Now, they don't necessarily work with that part of this thing. But say you make the models and not the rigs, or you make the rigs and you have someone else do the rig controls scheme. Well, I don't know why you do that. I don't know how that works. I've actually never worked on a movie before, so I don't know. I'm just thinking that if you have an easily enough to understand nomenclature, you should be fine. So here is Tails' middle brow. So we're gonna FC brow dot M is what I typically call this. So those are the controls for his face. They're gonna be his left brow, right brow, eyelid top, right eyelid top left, his bottom lid right, top lip, bottom lip, jaw, mouth corner, and mouth corner. All right, so those are the parts of his face that are going to be under control. Next thing we want to do is actually parent them. Whoops. Okay. We're going to parent them to his head, so that way when his head moves, they move as well. But before we do that, I just thought of something I should have taken care of a while ago. Make sure that these don't deform his body. These are not meant to actually move the mesh. Right now, they probably don't do anything just because they haven't been assigned to any of his any vertex groups have not been assigned to them yet. So it's probably fine for right now, but just in case I reassign any bones and I do it like automatically automatic weights, that would actually mean that each one of these little bones that I put in his face would start trying to control a part of his head. And that would be a problem because, first of all, I wouldn't have been thinking about it, and then when I move them, it deforms his face, and it's not supposed to. What it's supposed to do is control the Shapekey drivers, as I will show you in a moment. Right now, we're going to go ahead and hit the deform box on all of these and make sure that it's unchecked. That way, that doesn't happen. His face will remain unmoved by these bones. The way that his face will be moved by these bones is through a different method. Instead of being weighted to it, they will all be controlled by the calculations of the Shapekey driver, or that will be made into drivers, essentially. I'm not entirely certain of the technology behind this sort of thing. I just know that it works, and I like that it works. I should probably not try to get too technical, therefore. Let's go ahead and hit B, make a little box selection, and then we'll connect. We'll hit this bone, his head bone, last to make sure that when we hit Control P, we're going to make the head bone the parent of all of these little face control bones, and we're going to keep the offset, which makes these little dotted lines here. And so when he turns his head, we do it by the neck. We rotate along the Z-axis. Those move with it, and that's real creepy because he doesn't have a neck. I forgot that. Isn't that cute? Tails has no neck. Boo, 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 boo. All right. So Oh, right. Actually, I want one more of these. I want one more of these. I just thought of that. Shift D, and we'll move it about to right there. And we'll make sure that it is located in the right place by hitting 0 here and 0 there. And we're gonna make this actually the thing that controls Tails' eye movement. Yes. So we'll call it eye control. Doesn't really matter as long as everyone knows that it's for that and not something else. Okay. So now that we've made that, we're going to create some shapes, some things that'll make it easier to kind of know just by looking at it what it's supposed to do or what it's supposed to control. And these are called custom shapes. Custom shoes. It's very rarely, as the name suggests, it's just something to help your animator or whoever is going to be working with this in the end to understand just at a glance, like, okay, this controls the eyelids, this should control his brow, this should control his mouth, and that kind of stuff. So they're simple shapes that are kind of in the shape of the part of the face that they control. So I already made some, but we're going to make them from scratch so you see how that's done. I'm going to go to another layer here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make his eye. Whoops. Yeah, all right. That's still there. Let me go ahead and go to the get Tails out of here. Get him out of here. Get that Tails out of here. All right. So, A, we're going to make a we're going to make his eyelid and eyebrow controller thing. It's not going to be very difficult. So we're going to start with a circle. We're going to make sure that circle has a manageable number of vertices. 32 is too many. We're going to do about 8. I'm going to hit 7 here so we're looking down at it. All right. We go into edit mode here. We are going to basically delete all this mess. Whoops. I have it in face mode. There are no faces on here, so that's why. Delete that. Go to delete edges. We're gonna go to vertex mode, and we're gonna go to vertex mode again, and we're gonna hit F, and then that's basically what it's gonna be right there. This is gonna be his eyelid. I feel like, nah, I want to do better than that. We'll see. We're gonna extrude along X. Then we're gonna go ahead and hit F. That way we have a nice little vertex in the middle. Yeah, look at that. And then we're going to make that smoother by hitting the go here and make smooth. That didn't do anything? Of course it didn't. Right. Subdivision surface? Yeah, there we go. Alright. See? Already looking better. Okay. So this is going to be his eyelid. We're gonna kind of make it into like a very like an eyebrow. It's gonna be his eyebrow shape, right? That's what I said, right? I think so. I'll go back through the video and not correct myself. I'm just gonna go ahead and work with it. We're gonna call this whoops. Eyelid shape. No, eyebrow shape. Yeah, I'm horribly inconsistent. Eyebrow shape, like just within a sentence. Okay, eyebrow shape, and it doesn't matter which one it is. I'm gonna hit the file save button real quick. Make sure I don't lose anything. You all remember what that does to me. Makes me a mad person. Shift S, Control to selected, and then here. Then we're gonna go ahead and put the what's the word I'm thinking of? The word is origin by hitting object, going to transform, going to origin to 3D cursor, making sure that the origin of this object is right here. That'll be important later. So just to show you how this works, I'm gonna go back to Tails' face, which is somewhere around here, I swear. Is it here? No, that's his bone. All right. Yeah, there it is. There it is. You found it. You're the smartest boy in the world. Alright. So, right here, we got this bone here, right? Its tails is rigged, but the name of the bone is brow left, right? So what we're going to go here and do, and we're going to go to custom shape, and we're going to search for the shape that we just made. Eyebrow shape is what we called it. Boom. That's eyebrow shape. See that? Look at that. Now, only thing is, it's kind of small, and we're going to hit bone size. Now that makes it too big. So what you want to do is you want to hit bone size and then scale it up a little bit. And you just go to scale the flavor to taste, essentially, to what you think is good for it. Alright? And then, yeah, basically that's what we want. Now we can rotate it. I don't know, maybe that's not necessary. Rotate along Z a couple of degrees. That doesn't do anything. Alright, so there's that. And then essentially for the next one, for the other one, we're going to do the same thing. For his left thing, we're going to go to eyebrow shape again. We're going to see what we scale this one to. That one's at 1.6. We're going to move this one to 1.6 as well. 1.6. There you go. At brow.r. That's not how you spell brow. Brow.r. There that is. So those are tails as brows. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually assign another object to this thing just to make sure that they look the same on both sides. It's not terribly important that I do this, but I felt that I should. There we go. Now they're kind of contoured to his eyebrow arc. And that's what we wanted. So next thing's next. We're going to essentially do the same thing with all of these other parts of his face. So we're probably going to speed through this. I don't think I have much to say about it, other than what I said before. It's just going to be making shapes that look to be, look like from just looking at them, you know what they're for. And it keeps things nice and simple that way. So here we go. Alright, so we are back. Now, I've made all of the necessary shapes, I believe, for his face, for Tails' face, that is, and we're going to go ahead and start applying them. But before I do that, we're going to make one last thing. Shift-S, cursor to center. We're going to make Tails' eye control shape. Now, this is the thing I didn't used to do, because I didn't know how. But I watched some videos on the internet. Greatest place for information, as I can definitely attest. Oops. And it's just a simple shape. It's just going to be where we control Tails' eyes at. And we're going to go ahead and tab into edit mode. And we are going to move this over to right about there. We're going to go ahead and hit Shift D. Move that over to about here, so it looks like a pair of little goggles. We're going to do what we did with the other ones and hit the subdivision surface modifier. Is that doing anything? Yeah, there we go. Subdivision surface. And that's probably going to be good enough. Hit 2. Yeah, that's fine. Apply that. In fact, we're going to apply all of these. There's no reason to keep them the way they are. So apply. And apply. Apply. Oh, I didn't actually give this the shape it's supposed to have. Before I apply that, of course, I'm going to make this look the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to be the bottom jaw, so it's going to look kind of like, I guess, the bottom of a little chin guard on a bicycle helmet. That's what we're kind of going to. the shape we're going to go for. We're going to rotate it along the x-axis because it's going to be kind of below We're going to rotate this one too. Yeah, just a little bit of... Actually, probably not going to do that with his top lip. Anyway, just a little bit of editing that's going to be going and being involved in that. Rotate along X 90. Enter. Move these out front. Not that it actually matters where they are. It will matter entirely. Only in edit mode. So I just need to name that something. It doesn't have a name yet, so this is going to be shape. Alright, and back to the business of Tails' face. We're going to go ahead and apply these now. So we're going to take the brow that I made, and we're going to custom shape it, essentially. Brow M, there it is. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. Not too much. And make sure it remains at FC Brow M. I'm going to go to the eyelids here. Top lid shape.L. Scale that up just a little bit. We're going to move this up just a little bit. So it's just sort of, that's where it'll actually fall on his face. So when we add the next one, lid shape R, we have this at 2. This is going to be 2 as well. Oops. And you can already see what we're doing here. Actually, we're going to bring them in as a little bit too, because they're just a little far out. We want to move close to his face. Not too close, but you know, it's not a huge deal if they are. Put in the bottom lids. Move these up a little bit. Maybe 1.5. That'll do. And we're going to move them out a little bit. That way it's more on his face than in it, and it's easier for you to get at it without accidentally clicking on Tails' head, because that could be a problem. Might need to be rotated a little bit too. 1.5 and then go. Brow. No. Bottom lid. R. Oops. Looking good here, as far as I can tell. Looking real good. Looking stunning. I'm astonished. So this is probably for the best that I usually speed these videos up so I don't spend so much time doing any one thing. But I think you get the idea what we're doing over here. Let's just finish this off here. So we're going to put in his top lip. Oh, I never did his mouth corners. That's a thing that I didn't do. But But never fear, I made some already. Mouth corner R, L. And mouth corner right. So I made some earlier. Like I said, I deleted everything, but I forgot to delete those. So thankfully, I didn't, because then I'd have to remember what I did in order to make them, and I don't want to do that right now. So, laziness is a virtue. Don't let anybody tell you anything different, kids, because they're lying to you. They're all lying. They're a bunch of liars. And like I said before, sometimes at first it don't succeed. Try again. Rotate along. Rotate along 90 on the y-axis. Sometimes that just fixes my problems. Sometimes it just does. Actually, why is it different? What's the difference about that one? Oh, right, because I did the exact same thing on both sides. Derp. In. And like I said, since this doesn't actually transform any bones, it doesn't actually matter about its orientation. We're going to move these out forward. We're going to rotate along X. Z. You know what? Oh well, whatever, man. Just gonna get this done and out of the way. So that's that. Let's go ahead and add his jawbone, because I know that's what everyone was waiting for. Jawbone. Jaw shape. Bam. Hey y'all, prepare yourself for the rubber band. Man? Is that what he is? I didn't know. I thought he was insane. I didn't know what to think of him. Alright, so that's going to be Tails' facial shape controls. Now, they are utterly useless without the actual shape keys that they're supposed to be connected to. So that's the next part we want to get into. I feel like I'm going to delete all that other stuff I did. But first, before we do that, we're going to remember that we have his eyes to control. Now, right now, Tails' eyes are controlled by this thing, this little point in space. It's Tails' eye focus. This is what I named it. I named it that because I wanted to remember where it was. Super important to do that when working on things like this. Somehow this is off, even though these are tend to occupy the same space or whatever, but oh, Tails' jaw, of course it is. And I'm sure I know exactly how much it is off. Before I do this, I need to go back here, hit this jawbone real quick, and we need to adjust it by rotating it. Alright. I might end up doing voiceover for this anyway. Yeah, by the way this is going. Alright, so next things next. That was it. That was that. So we're going to go ahead and attach this now. So what we're going to do is we're going to parent this what's this thing called? It's called it's called an empty. We're going to parent this empty, this plane axis empty that connects to Tails' eye texture that makes the move. We're going to parent that to a bone so that we can control it more easily. So we're grabbing that. We're going to go and hit Control P. Control P? Alright. And we're going to go, no, actually, we're not going to do that. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Right, we hit this, we hit plane axis, we go to its things, we go to copy location, and then we're going to go and find Tails' rig. So we're going to type in rig, go to Tails rig, and then we're going to choose the bone that controls it, because right now it's just parented to the rig itself. is how we usually do it. But now we're going to go a little further down. We're going to find the bone. The bone is called, remember, eye control. And there we go. Now it copies the location of this bone. We move that around, and that moves around. It makes it a lot easier to control when it comes to animation. We don't have to worry about where we left the plane axis or anything like that. So we can go ahead, move that to the front like it matters. It doesn't. Actually, it does kind of. It's using world space, and we'll leave it in world space. And we're going to go ahead and hide it. You don't have to see it anymore. Now we got that. We got that being controlled by that. This is more or less what we're going to be doing with everything else. Going to move this in a little bit. No need for it to be so far out. And yeah, that's that. Next thing after that, we're going to make this bone itself into something that's more easily found by choosing the shape that we made, which is going to be called eye shape. And it looks like the tail is wearing a little tiny pair of glasses. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. And now we can control Tails' eyes, and we know which bone does it. Isn't that so much easier? It gets better. Believe me, it does. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start applying those Shapekey drivers. Like I said we were going to at the beginning of the video. Oh my gosh. I'm so consistent. I'm so productive. It's amazing. I amaze myself. Okay. Next things is that, essentially. We're going to go ahead and hide this, because I don't need this right now. We're going to join the area. We're going to move this to the side a little bit. And now it is time to do this. This. What is this? This is this. Go to Tails' face. Go over here to what's that called? Object data? It's just the data tab. And we can see all these shape keys that I made. I made a good number of them. I think about 20 or so. They've all been zeroed out, but remember how I can control his brow by grabbing this slider? Yeah, look at that. But in the end, this is kind of a cumbersome method of doing things. I have to go all the way to this data part and then just grab each and every one of those things individually. Got his lips. Got his jaw. I got all this stuff. It's all well and good, but it is slow. What we want to do, essentially, is connect this bone to that shape key and then just move the bone to move the shape. That way I don't have to go into a menu and a slider. I can just grab the bone, and in the process of posing the bones on his face, I'm moving this, manipulating the sliders, I'm animating Tails' face. It's so much better. I cannot tell you how much time this saves because I don't do a whole lot of animation and I haven't clocked it, but really, it's gonna be great. You're gonna see in just a moment. I'll be right back because I need to crack my back. Ooh! Yeah! Yeah! Alright. That's too much. We're gonna have to cut that out. Or I'm gonna forget to cut it out and then people are gonna think I'm ridiculous. So, now is time to do it. So we're gonna zero out all the bones, all the shape keys, and we're gonna start with the adding of the drivers. Here we go. First thing we want to do is select the driver we want to control, move our cursor down to this empty slider. The slider is at 0 because that's just where it is right now. We hit the right click, left. Which one is that? That's the right click. And we hit add driver. Manually create later. Make sure you hit that. You want to create it later. And you see the little thing at the dialogue at the top saying auto run is disabled, because now we're starting to add some code. Essentially, we're not writing it ourselves, but we're adding scripts to the model, and therefore it starts getting worried. Go ahead and save that, and we say ignore that. But now it's just the system is realizing it's real now. It's time to get serious about this whole thing. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Yeah, I'm probably going to zoom through this because it's not a long process, but it is boring for me, and I can't imagine if I'm not enjoying it that you are. Even if I am enjoying it, honestly, I can't assume that. It's such a short process. We'll be done in a moment. I'm not going to speed through this. That way you can see exactly how I'm doing this. Doing every one of them the same way. Alright, brow middle is the final one, I believe. Yes? Okay. Now here comes the fun part. So, there's a reason you can see all of the axes of the bones. I have that on to give me a reminder of how to do the shape keys. And you'll see exactly what I mean in just a moment as I hit the shift. No. I go up to here and I split my screen. Boom. Split area. Got double vision on tails, but we're going to go to the graph editor. If anyone of you who's ever worked in Blender, when you first start, you see all these options, you're like, I'll never use graph editor. That's what I believed when I started working in Blender. I was like, well, that looks complicated. I'll never touch it. Oh, how wrong I was. Also, let's get rid of some of this extra stuff. We don't need to see. No, that's just there. Okay, fine. I can't. It's just going to be there. Alright, fine. So we're going to select Tails' head, and then we're going to go ahead and move from F curve. We're going to go to drivers. Here is a list of all of the drivers that I just selected. This is generated by the computer whenever I click and make this purple. This is what happens. It makes this list over here. It generates that list. Whoops. Alright. So, here we go. We're going to go ahead and go to our first key with this Smile L. We're calling it Smile L, but it's really going to be corresponding with a specific bone. The shape key is called Smile L, but the bone is called Face Control something. Face Control. Face control. It's mouth controller. Face control, mouth control. Mouth corner L. Anyway, it's important to know where things are. Y is left and right in this case. X is up and down. Z is in and out. And this is important because of what I'm about to show you right now. We're going to go from scripted to averaged value. And we're going to choose a bone that's going to be doing this. This bone is going to be... well, first we have to find the rig, and the rig is going to be Tails rig. Tails rig, and we're going to find a bone, and the bone is going to be FC mouth corner L. Now, you've seen there's a little change in it, right? Because now it's reading it. This is not exactly what we want because first of all, we want to make sure that it's dictated by the local space and not the overall space of the world that the model is in or anything like that. So this is all going to be based on the orientation of the bones in the rig. And since we know that the rig moves up and down along the x-axis, we're going to change... Really? It does? Yeah, it does. So it's already ready to go. We're going to change that value to the x location. And since it's already x location, it starts in there by default. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a modifier, and that modifier is going to be generator. And the generator is going to go between 0 and 1 right now. We'll see if that works. Okay, that's backwards. As you can see, when I pull it down, his mouth corner goes up, and that's not what we want. That lets us know something's up. So we're going to change this from 0 to 1. And we're going to say 0 to -1, let's say. Which should change things. Yeah. Alright. It makes it go up now. Because we now know that this is -x. That when we move it up, it's going up -x. And that's basically just because of the way I set the bone. It wouldn't be doing that if I had set it up differently, but that's how it is, so that's how it's going to be. Next thing we want to go ahead and do is make sure that the range is wide enough so that it starts making the mouth smile a lot sooner. Because this is, when I do that, his mouth, like, that's way up there, and that's not at all useful. So I'll grab. We're gonna go ahead and make it -20, and we'll see how quickly we can get it to change. Yeah, like basically like that, right there at the top. Now we're able to control a lot. It moves a lot faster, which means that we have better control over the changing of the shape key. So we have that. We've got averaged value, and we have all of those things. So we're going to actually go ahead and copy this so we don't have to do it again. We're going to copy that as well. Every time it's relevant, we'll use it again. So we're going to bring that down into here, hit the generator button, and we're going to go ahead and now we're on smile right. So we're controlling the other side of his face. Now, as it stands, boom. If I left this the way it is, I would be controlling both sides of his mouth with the same bone, because I used the left bone to connect to his mouth. So like, if you move that to average value, this is what you'd get. It's not what you want, so be sure to change the bones if you're going to copy your template, essentially. Make sure that says FC mouth corner R. Now, uh-oh, what happened? Yeah, FC mouth corner R, X local space, all of that stuff is in there, is it not? Yes, it is. But, okay. Apparently, there's a discrepancy here, where it's positive and the other one is negative. I don't know. That doesn't usually happen. But this is only important to you as the person who's setting up the rig. Anyone else is not going to be all that concerned. Oh, I know why. See, look at that. This is pointing down and this one's pointing up. They're actually going in opposite direction. This is a mistake. I should probably fix that later. But right now, this is how that works. Just be aware of just which way the bones are going. That way, when you set it up, the expanded polynomial thing, that you know which way it's supposed to go up and which way it's supposed to go down. Usually, when you have it as negative, you're able to. It's supposed to control things that go down. So we're gonna go to frown now. And pop this one in here. So this we'll leave alone because this is the mouth corner we want to work with. And we're going to flip this around to a positive number just because that's how this one happens to be. So when we pull down, it makes him frown. And he smiles. Frown, smile. When we hit 0, it's straight. But when you get up there and get down there, it does both. So it's really easy to transition between two different shape keys. Like, this isn't possible just using sliders. I would have to move the smile all the way to 0 and then the frown all the way to 1. Two separate motions to get the same kind of effect. You can already see how this is a lot easier to deal with. Like smile, frown, and then just sort of like they blend into each other, which is exactly what we want. Hit generator, and then that's basically it. That's how these shape keys work. We're going to go through the rest of them for your benefit so you can see exactly how I do these things. And yeah, I'll see ya. Okay, so here's the thing about top lid, right? You can see that Y is up and down for this particular thing, and that in this particular configuration, Y is, this is going to be negative. Because going up was negative here, you can see in the opposite direction there. So instead of saying X location, we're going to say Y location. It's still local space. Down here in modifiers, we're still using the generator. And yeah, it's going to be the opposite. Instead of -20, we're going to make it a +20. Also, that's a little too fast. It barely moves, and his eyelid's all the way up. So we're going to actually change the range to about 10. So that way it moves with his eyelid at least as much as possible. In fact, 10 is too much. 5, how about that? want to make sure that these things are as much with like connected as possible. So that's 5. 5 is good. That's how we're going to control his eyelids. Okay, we're gonna copy that and use that in a moment. Yeah. So this is also gonna go up too. We're gonna go to top lid right. We're gonna go ahead and change this to average value. We're gonna do that. Top lid .r. Y location. Boom. It should work the same way because they are the same. Yep, just like that. Okay. Next things next. Bottom lid. Essentially the same thing as what we did earlier, but it's just it's good to have this sort of repetition. You know what I'm saying? Move that all up. We just move that up a bit to mirror where it should be. The thing that it's supposed to control. Scripted. Average value. We're going to bring in the FC top lid. Except no, it's going to be bottom lid because of course it is. Bottom lid. Let's take a look at the bone. Y location once again. So it's basically going to be controlled in the same way that the other one was. It needs to go up, so it's most likely going to be negative, I think. Average value. No, that's fine actually. Right there, good. Okay, nice. Don't have to change anything. Do the same thing with this one. Drivers. Yeah. Scripted, averaged. Bottom lid dot R. You want to make sure that you checked everything, of course. You know, you never can be too careful. You don't want to send something out half-baked, especially these things. Want it to work the way it's meant to first time. Go to top lip. It's easy sometimes just to type in the word that you're looking for. This is going to be moving along the y-axis again. Nice. We're going to go to averaged value. We're going to go ahead and go to that button and see if it works. It does. Only problem is 5 is too small a range. So we're going to go to 10. Still too small. I mean, so we're going to go to 15 maybe? Like I said, just tailor it to fit, make sure it works. 20. How about that? That's got to be better, right? Yeah. Eh, 25. Final offer. Yeah, that's probably good. Okay. And let's go ahead and move over to the next top lid situation there. I don't actually like that thing's position, so we're going to move that. That's bottom lid anyway. I feel better about that. Alright. Moving things in edit mode means that you're setting the pose or the rest position of the rig so that it'll always come back to that particular position. It doesn't change anything, especially since these bones don't actually deform the mesh in any way. They just control the position. So it's utterly harmless to do what I just did. Just moving the bones around to make sure they're in the right place. We were doing something like moving this around in edit mode, that would be an issue though. Like, no, in pose mode, that would be an issue. So you want to go into edit mode if you're going to make any changes to where the rig parts go. And I am just through with this jawbone. I keep putting it in the wrong place. Alright, nice. Okay, back to work. That stuff does kind of get on my nerves, and I want to make sure that it's, whatever. I need to stop perfecting at this thing. It's no one else cares but me. No one else. No one else cares but you. Average value. Move this down. The heck is that? Did it not save it? What is that? Get that stuff out of my life. There we go. Lip, bottom lip. Why? All of those things. No. What did I do? I edited the wrong one. That's what I did. Whoops. Also, don't do that. Don't do what I just did. That was not great. That wasn't a great move. Not one of my finest pieces of work, bottom lip. And average value. Yeah. Okay, so this is the one that's upside down, apparently. Also, I didn't add one of these, so that's important. Negative. Actually, wait. First, we'll try positive 25 and see if that does the same thing. It shouldn't. When I think about it, yeah, no, it's backwards. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that was this bottom lip. All right, excellent. Next thing's next. We're gonna go to Tails' bottom. What? Oh. He has a bottom lip in out. He's got a top lip in out. Whoops! I didn't see that. I don't know how I didn't. Okay, I messed up. So top lip up down. It actually also pulled his lips out, which it's not supposed to do. Whoopsie! I didn't realize I was also doing that. So yeah. Okay, so he has in and out, an in and out feature. In and out is Z, so that his lips move along the Z axis, or the Z location, more rather, when you move them, when his lips move. So you can pull them out, grabbing that. So when you move them up and down, they go up and down. When you pull them out along the y-axis, they move outward. So he can make, ooh, I guess, sounds. It's not the best Shapekey I've ever made, but that's essentially how it works. And I feel like I messed it up at some point. Probably because of the way this is pitched. Let's go over here and rotate along X till it's kind of straight. Yeah, okay. Also, this Z location situation, it needs to be a little bit more responsive, because that's too close. We'll say come straight out. Yeah, like that. Alright. I don't know why I didn't notice that. Well, because I usually don't actually do the top lip and bottom lip, up, down, in, out situation. So bottom lip is fine right now. But when I add his bottom lip in, out, which is going to be 20 as well, I think. location. Make sure this is average value. Tail is trying to whistle. Alright. Alt grab. Alright, I don't know. I usually don't do, I guess. That's a weird one. Yeah, but I made an in and out lip movement, which adds to the overall number of shape keys that I gotta keep track of. So, here's a lesson from Rodalist to you. Keep track of how many shape keys you made, and also what they're supposed to be, because I straight up forgot that he could do that. Okay. Let's go to his jaw. Tails' jaw is pitched in what way? Z is definitely down here. It's kind of at an angle, but it is still down. And that's what we're going to focus on. Yeah. Alright. Bottom jaw. Z location. Average value modifiers do that. It's probably going to be a -5 instead of... Ah, it's already there. Perfect. I need that to happen faster. Ah. Move that to about 15. See what that does. Okay, I like that. That's good. File and save that. We are not going to relive last episode. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And, yeah. Next thing's next. Gonna start doing his brows. My brows? Absolutely, Tails. What of my brows? That's not how he talks, I know. Yeah. So we're gonna go here. Boom. We're gonna go back to where we had the lids, the controls of his lids, and we're just gonna we're just gonna copy that, actually. They're all Y location. Yeah, they are. When it comes to which direction is up and down. Yeah, so we're gonna go back down to brow L. Move that down. That's the wrong way, so it's got to be -5, which makes sense, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Brow R. Yeah, okay. Okay. Brow R, same situation. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Oh, didn't add average value. That's what it didn't. That didn't do right. So once, as you can see already, what's up? Okay, I just didn't bring him out as far as I could go. Excuse me? Alright, that's as low as his eyebrows go. I was about to say, what's happening? That's just where they go to. next thing's next. Brow R is done. Now we just do the brow middle, and we are done with the shape keys. Hooray! The heck? This keeps happening, man. Now that is his middle brow. Can bring that up, pull it up, and there we go. Alright, great, excellent, outstanding, awesome, and amazing. We are done with Tails' face. She'll shape keys, I mean to say. And I might stop. No, we're going to keep going. I want to try something else here. Tails' Tails'. Now, as you know, I made Tails' Tails with just the idea of being rooted in one spot in mind. But I just thought about this. What if I hadn't done that? Well, of course, I'm not going to change very much about them, but I was thinking that's a video for another time, actually. That's not something I'm going to focus on. Right now, we're going to work on Tails' his colors, essentially. Yeah. Okay. So now that Tails' shape keys are complete, we can see how we control his face. We can smile. We can get him to frown. Even pout a little bit, too, with this lip thing we got here. Oh. Tails is sad. Or disgusted. Or kind of annoyed. Quizzical, even. You grab his eyelids, bring them up. Control copy to a V. Alarmed. Even incredibly angry. You know, it's great, man. All we have to do is grab bones. We don't have to do all that other stuff we did in the past. Now he just, I don't know what that is. Oh, you. Oh, his light's not on. Here we go. There we go. That's Tails' incredulous face. How dare you! Sonic 06 was the best game ever made! Alright. So, if you're sick of monochromatic Tails, we're going to go ahead and move along and change the way he looks. We're going to add Tails textures. Yay! So, we're going to alt grab everything I just grabbed and bring him back to a more pleasant place. Go to textures. I added his eye texture very early on, you'll remember. And they work pretty well. So, next thing's next. We're going to go ahead and add Tails' textures. He's already been, what's the word? Seamed up. So I already have a pretty good idea of what he's going to look like when I'm done with this. When we came in, he actually already had textures on him. But we're going to go ahead and go from the very beginning. Alright, so let's get back into it. Yes, it is time to work on Tails' textures. The T of T. So we're going to go ahead and open up the... I have to become hyper aware of all the popping and clicking I've been doing. I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. I'm not going to actually be able to do that. It's like it's a nervous tick at this point. Yeah. See? Did it again. That was a finger snap. Not the same, but kind of simple or similar. Alright, so we opened up GIMP, but we're going to come to that later in just a moment. We are first and foremost focused on this fox's... There's no word that I can think of for color that starts with F. That would have been such a rad alliteration had I been able to pull it off. Doesn't matter. What does matter, oops, is those colors. We're going to go ahead and do that right now. I've already had Tails divided up in an earlier portion of earlier videos, I've had him divided up into seams so that we can more easily color him, and that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. Kind of? I don't mean kind of. I mean that's exactly what we're going to focus on today. Exclusively, really. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. Hitting the N button, we're going to bring up that picture that we had of Tails to reference the colors. Alright, so basically there is no crossover. The only place we got to worry about there being any kind of fading is right there on his actual Tails. So we're going to go ahead and keep that in mind as we move forward. I don't really know how they did this. I'm not terribly worried about how they did that, but it's interesting. I said earlier in an earlier video that it ain't that serious, but I am kind of like, if one day I get good enough, I'll probably attempt it. But at this moment, we're just going to do colors. Colors for Tails. And we're not going to do the textures on the bottom of his shoes. We're just going to do some flat colors. Alright, so we know what kind of colors we want to work with. Great. Now, moving forward, we're going to do the this whole process. Like last time, I had him already colored, as I said, but this time we're going to go ahead and show you how I did that. So we're going to go ahead and split the area, as I like to do for this. And we're going to go to UV Image Editor, and we're going to go to, right now, just any old thing. And this is in kind of a disarray. So we're going to go ahead and hit mesh, and we're going to unwrap. Alright. So, this tells us a little bit about what we're working with here. We're working with Tails' head, which is this part, which is all one color, so it's pretty easy to actually work with. Tails' whole head is actually just two colors. It is white and it's yellow. His muzzle is white. His tail is, his ears are white. The inner ears are white. His outer ears are yellow, though. I don't know. I'm getting tired. That must be what this is. So essentially, we're going to not worry about too many contours or anything like that. We're just going to select certain parts of Tails' head, the ones that we want to color right now, or the ones we want to have as a specific thing. And yeah. This is all the stuff that's gonna be yellow. Okay, we're gonna hit the A button. This is gonna be real simple, actually. And we're going to, in fact, we're gonna do this all in one go. We're gonna scale this stuff down because it doesn't have to be. There's no patterning or anything like that. So we're just gonna deal with block colors. Usually, when I do textures, I don't go crazy on textures. I just do what needs to be done for that particular thing. You might say that's lazy. You're absolutely right. I've seen people do better texture jobs. I'm not gonna lie and say that I am the maven. That's not the right word. Maven is feminine. But, you know, the person who knows a whole lot about textures and stuff. So, what we're gonna do here is we're going to assign some materials. This first material here, we're going to call it new. We're going to make this a yellow head fur. Alright. And we're going to name this one white muzzle fur. And in keeping with the other one, we're going to keep that a lowercase f because, you know, whatever. And assign. Boom. I'm going to assign that to white muzzle fur. A. By default, it says that this all is yellow head fur, but it is not. We're actually going to deselect this stuff by just hitting the C button and just deselect it. Deselect that too. And then just hit assign. We're going to make a new group, and that group is going to be called inner mouth. Control L. That's inner mouth. And we're just going to hit assign. Did I not? I didn't name it. I don't know what I just did. I don't even know what I typed. It didn't show up. And we're going to assign that there. That's all the inner mouth. And we're going to make one last material. Hit Control L. Whoops. Hit Control L. Yeah. And we're going to call that material teeth. And that's going to be Tails' head. I'm going to show you how we do over here at Rotalist 2. Oh, one more, actually. His nose. It's just going to be a material. It's not even going to have a texture assigned to it, I don't believe. So we're going to go ahead and hit new. Yeah. Nose. Alright, and assign that. Select. Ah. Okay. I hadn't just, whoops. Forgot to actually get teeth to be a thing. Forgot to hit the assign button. That was, so that's fine. Very good. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and move on now. We're going to hit select on yellow head fur. Actually, A. Select yellow head fur. And select light muzzle fur. What is this? Is that? Usually you can click on this and see where it's attached to. Oh, it must be that inner stuff. So select this. That's the inner eye stuff. Okay, that's the stuff. There's no patterning, like I said before, so we're just really gonna do the bare minimum here. If there was something more ornate or intricate when it came to the design, then I would have to worry about how this stuff is laid out. But since it's not, we're not going to. This is the muzzle. This is also going to be just basically sitting on a block. In fact, teeth. The only reason I'm having these in different materials is for the purpose of applying different materials to them. They're all really essentially going to be using the same texture scale. Removing teeth into the same area as the white fur because they're going to be using the same white coloring. I don't typically do bump mapping or any of those fur textures on my models. I might start doing it later, but right now we're just going to kind of find the best way to do this. And yeah, let's see. T. Okay. Go to texture. All right. Let's go here. This is where patterning actually matters. Which is why this is already in that kind of in a pattern mode. They've got the little things that stick off the back, and then there it is. We're gonna make this a bit bigger. We're gonna name this tail. Pattern, because tails has a little sort of like a tuft of white at the edge of his yellow tails. Whoops. New. This is going to be body fur. And when we say body fur, we're essentially selecting the rest of him too. So his tail, his legs are also going to be included in that body fur thing. Assign. Oh, yeah, body fur. Assign. Deselect. Select. Okay. We're gonna call this one glove. New. Gloves. Going to deselect his shoes there. Deselect his chest. Call those gloves and assign those there. Separate his cuffs. This is in mirror mode. The reason that's not coming out is, no, why isn't that not coming out? The black part of his gloves, though. Okay. We're going to designate an area of these gloves that are black, so we'll just cap that over here, grab this, move this over to where the white stuff is going to be. We're essentially using the same thing as the muzzle. Okay. Yellow up here. White stuff down. Wait a minute. Is that how I have that set up? No. Yeah, that's where white stuff goes. Alright. Move that nose down here, because that's where black things are going. Once again. Tail's like the only thing that's really gonna get another, like a special texture. Everything else is gonna be pretty simple. Control L. Grab that, move that over here. Lovely. And we're gonna call this chest. Assign. Select tail pattern. That's wrong. We need one more. Call that one shoes. Excuse me. Assign. Okay. So that's everything, I think, that I gotta deal with. Oh, shoot, right. No. White muzzle flare. Plus inner ear. Make sure I know that. That's where that goes. Yeah. Okay. Save that. So first thing we're gonna do here is make the thing for yellow head fur. Okay. Select. And we're going to do the same thing actually in their ear. Because they don't go in the same place, thankfully. Teeth. Just get this all done at once. Alright. And we're going to go ahead UVs, and we're going to go minimize stretch for all, whatever good that'll do us. And we're going to go back to mesh. No, UVs. And we're going to export UV layout. That's the most important part. I might... No, I think everything up to this point is kind of relevant. We go to textures, and we're going to call this one... I already made textures earlier, but we're going to ignore that, and we're going to pretend I haven't. And we're going to call those... tails. Whoops. Tails, head. Ampersand, body. Let's make sure that's not all caps. So, tails, head, and body, underscore UV dot PNG. Yup. Make sure that the PNG image is 2048 by 2048 because that's high definition. That's always just how I learned to do it. You know, you don't have to if you don't want, but it's not gonna be good. I mean, it ain't gonna be pretty. Okay, export UV layout. We're just gonna use this for a basic thing. Yeah, I'm gonna use this texture again for everything else. Whoopsie. All right, let's go to GIMP now. File, open as layers. We're gonna go ahead and find that thing I was working on. Characters, tails, Zavigo. It's not as well made as the last one I did, but okay, whatever. We're going to open the windows here. Recently closed. All that stuff for some reason. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but whatever. We're gonna make a new layer. That layer is going to be just a transparency where we're going to go new layer. That one is going to be called pattern. That's not how pattern is spelled. There we go. Okay. Base. All right. We're going to go over here and say base is going to be tails yellow. But I first need open as layers. I need a reference. Look at all this tails. Great. All I needed for is a dropper real quick. Put this at the bottom so I can't see it. And I just need to get a sample of tails' fur color, which is right there. Is that it? I guess so. How about that? Is that better? No, I mean obviously it would be consistent if they're both official art, so that's what tails is, whatever. Alright. And we're just gonna splash it on here, all willy-nilly. Here, that up there is going to be that yellow color, and down here is going to be white. I don't really need to reference white. I'm accustomed to what white looks like, considering it is barely a color. Except for, yes, it is a color anyway. I'm not going to get into that right now. We're going to make a little selection box where we cordon off all of the white stuff right there. And then in pattern, we're on the pattern layer. We're going to go ahead and just dump in all this white. There we go, great. Move the textures above it so I can see where everything is. Great, and we're going to also put some black there for the nose and whatnot. It's always better to have a texture in a place. Put this on pattern, boom. Just fill it in. Bam. Great. Just perfect. Oh, I didn't think about this. We're gonna need some pink too, aren't we, for the inside of his mouth? What exactly does that look like? I don't know. Nah, we're not gonna worry about it. Because we might just make the inside of his mouth black like it is in that picture, and his tongue pink, which is be more consistent with this stuff. So, turn this off. Turn back. Oh man. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and export as texture. The same name as the thing that I came before, except we're gonna call it texture instead of UV. That way I don't get confused. Blender won't get confused. I'll get confused. And that is worse. Forswear thy foolish ways. Alright. Textures. So, and we're going to go over here to yellow fur. And we're going to go to Node Editor now, where we get to change some of the materials. So we go Shift A, and we're going to input a texture, and we're going to go Image Texture, and we're going to attach it to this diffuse. Right now there's nothing, so if I went to rendered mode, his face would be that pink. That ain't what Tails looks like. That's what your fan character looks like. I'm kidding. No one's fan character. Let me not say that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, but since we've already input those head and body texture, just pop that in there, and then look. Oh, look. Now it's a bit flat, but we'll get to that later. We'll fix it. Oh, don't you worry. In fact, there's a lot of stuff to fix already, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Oops. But like I said, we'll deal with it later. And we're going to go ahead and do what we did when we copied all of those Shapekey drivers. We're just going to copy this particular node setting, and then we're going to go down here. Going to delete this, which creates a very confusing image. Move that back down in here, and then voila. Now that has a texture applied to it. Doesn't look much different, but that's just because white in Blender is white pretty much anywhere. But it is, believe me, it's different. Can't prove to you how yet. Inner mouth. I haven't set that up yet, so let's go to textures here. Inner mouth. Select. I'm gonna bring this down. Open your mouth real quick, Tails, just to get a look on the inside. That's not right. I'm against everything I'm looking at right now. So, we're gonna fix it though. Oh, we gonna fix him. Clear seam. And make a new material here called tongue. And we're gonna make it pink. Oh, it's kind of weirdish, but that's how they do it in Hollywood. So who am I to disagree with that? So we go to nose, we select that, back to texture. Go back to node editor. Okay, and then we got teeth. Bring that down, move that over here to surface. Alright, go to materials here. Let's make some things change here. So we're gonna go Shift A, and we're gonna go to shaders, and we're gonna add some a mix shader here, and we're gonna go mix shader's gonna go there. Then we're gonna add another shader, and that shader is gonna be glossy. We're gonna make his fur shine a little bit, and you can see the preview right there. That's a little bit too shiny, and it's also the wrong color. It's white. It should be closer to what color he is. So we bring that down a little bit. That's too much like it was. Change that to multi-scatter. Don't want him to look like he's wet, but I do want him to have a little bit of a sheen. Like light is reflecting off of the surface of his face. A little bit more than that. Maybe just a little bit more. Okay, so I resolved to be more or less happy with the way that Tails' head looks. I'm just gonna do a few things here. I'm going to change it back to the way it was for all of this. The version of Tails' head that shows up in pretty much every other render that I've done essentially has his muzzle all being white, with his nose just sort of stopping there. I'm not entirely certain how they do it in canon, but we're gonna do this a different way. I had to speed up all the texture stuff because it's kind of a long-winded process, and it's mostly just me breathing heavily and just going, oh, well, where's this go, and that kind of stuff. So just be prepared for more of that if I happen to get stuck again. But we've got nice musical interludes, I think. Now, you can tell me if you don't like it. I'm going to say, well, that's too bad. This is what I could get for free. Anyway, moving Tails' textures much on it, or worry too much about it. Essentially, we're just going to let it be what it is. Alright, that's just, yeah. I'll draw a new texture, I think, in the future where it kind of, what am I trying to say? It kind of tapers, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Okay, that's his nose. It's black. His teeth, they are white. Okay. Not seeing this on here. But, well, once again, we're not going to worry about it too much. I made a texture specifically for his tails and his body, and we're going to go ahead and employ that now. Tail pattern. Select. Now, I have already, like I said before, made a UV unwrap of this. So this down here is what that looks like. We're going to just sort of slide this up here so we can get a better look at it. I already even drew a texture for it, and that's kind of how it's already set. I don't know if this is cheating technically. I don't feel like I'm cheating. Do you? We're going to scale this down a bit. Make sure it fits and grab this over here. And you can see where we have the tapering, the brush strokes kind of like fading into the yellow from white. And this is the tip of his tail, this hexagonal thing, octagonal or non-agonal. I don't know exactly how many cuts it has. So there's that. And we're going to go ahead and add a texture to it. So like I did before, we're going to go ahead and go into Node Editor. And we are going to Shift A. We're going to go to Texture. We're going to go to Image Texture. Boom. And we're going to open that up. Attach that. And if you're in material mode, you'll see that it's all black because there's no texture applied to it. And it's purple if you were to render it, going into rendered mode. Because that's the universal there's no texture here symbol, which I don't know who originated that, but it's pretty good because almost nobody would ever apply this color to a model, unless of course that is the texture that you wanted to work with, which I'm sure isn't confusing in any way whatsoever. Alright, so we're gonna go up to textures here. I like to hit this little 4 box button up there at the top. It lets you know what the texture looks like before you select it. If you don't happen to already know the name of what you're looking for, it's often easier to tell by sight. Open the image, and boom, there you go. Because of the UV unwrap that I did earlier, we have this. Now it's a bit, I don't know, it's not as defined as I'd like it to be. We'll see what we can do about that by going back here and sort of scaling it, hitting the S button and scaling along the X-axis. See if we can't tighten this up just a little bit. Nope, that's not going to do it. How about that? Not any better? Oh well, it's just not big enough. There's probably ways around this. Scale on Y, maybe. Bring it up. Grab, hit the Y button there. Also, grab, pull it back just a little bit. No, grab along X, pull it back. So it's not so long. Oh well. Nobody's perfect. Not even Tails. I mean, look at him. He's got 2 tails. He is a mutant. No. Okay, so next, we're going to go ahead and move on. Hit the texture button so we can still see everything. And we're going to grab hold of his little belly here. You're going to go there. It's currently just a half. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to work with this. We're going to work with that particular shape. We're going to grab it. Boom. Chest. And we're going to do what we did up here. We're going to go to the node editor for tail pattern. Essentially, we're just going to grab that and then really just copy it like we did with the shape keys and everything. Hit that, send that up to the notepad. Go to chest, and then hit this button to bring it down from the notepad. Connect it here. Boom. Interesting. Is there a reason for that? Oh, it looks like that because the rest of him is white too, so it's hard to tell. But you can see it there. It's sort of been attached. Next thing we want to do is go solid here. This is his body first. Select that. And we're going to apply a UV just like we did before. Take a look at what it looks like in UV image editor and see exactly where that is. See, this is where his body is. They all reside in the proper place already. So we just go to texture now. Bam, there it is. Starting to see how these kind of come together. Now this isn't what we want, right? It's too boxy down there. That's not at all what we want. for that to look like. We want that to be rounded. We want there to be like some circular yellowness in that pattern. So we're going to go ahead here and go to, hit A to deselect that. We're going to go to chest, select chest, and see how that's been attached. And we're just sort of going to bring it over. We're going to grab, that's not quite right. There we go. Don't really want that weird sort of backwards widow's peak. So we're going to go over here and we're going to just sort of sort that out. We're going to grab this along the y-axis, pull it up a little bit. Grab along X. And rounds that out. And then we got whiteness for Tails' fur here. And it's a little more rounded. More or less the way we wanted it to be. Not 100%, but then, I don't know. Let's see if we can't just grab, oops, that's not what we want. Just grab a side here. Grab it along X and see if we can't just smooth it. That's not going to have the effect that I want. Okay. Oh well. We do want this to be fixed though. That's supposed to be all white all the way through. So we just going to grab that. We grab all these little edges that are the edges of his little fur tufts. They are supposed to be a single color. We grab these in, pull them back over the white part of the texture, and there you go. Bob is your uncle. That's how you texture Tails' chest. Or at least that's how I texture Tails' chest. We're not gonna talk about who's right. I am, obviously. And who's wrong here. You know, Sega has their way, I've got mine. Acting like it's in any way similar. Okay. It's more or less how we're gonna do it. There. So that's Tails' textures. So far, we're looking good. Let me grab his mouth, see if we got this. It's been a little while. Actually, this is being recorded at a different time than what you may be watching in the video. It's been a little bit. Not gonna tell you how long. It's not important. I didn't even have to bring that up. I end up telling on myself more often than not. Okay, so his shoes. Tails' shoe textures are essentially Sonic's shoes textures. They have the exact same color scheme. It is red, white, and that's it, actually. It's red, white, and I think some gray on the soles. So I should actually already have a texture in here for his shoes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to find that, and we're going to apply it. It's not in here because I disconnected it. It's fine. Let's go find it real quick. Let's go searching for Tails' shoe texture. Let's go into the node editor, Shift A, texture, image texture. We're going to apply that. And in order to find the texture, we're going to go back to open, textures, boom. No, it's not in here. Alright, so we're going to go searching around. We're going to go over to, I guess, Sonic. And we're going to go Sonic shoe colors. We're going to do that. We're going to open image. That's not right, what you'd say. And you'd be right, because that looks all kinds of wrong. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take a look at the UV that we just brought in for Sonic's shoe texture. Hit the tab button here. See where things have actually fallen. So shoes and select. Alright, so it turns out they fell out into the alpha part of this image. So nothing has any color whatsoever. So let's go ahead and fix that. Tails, what am I trying to say? The toe of Tails' shoes are red. No, they're white. Wow, I don't know anything. I call myself a Sonic fan. Tails' shoes are red. No, they're not. Not on the front. You can just pretend I didn't say that, you know? If it helps. It's gonna help me, that's for certain. They apparently haven't been unwrapped. So we're gonna go to Mesh, you're gonna go to UV Unwrap, and then unwrap. And it's all huge. I don't want it to be huge, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to scale that down. Grab this, move it over to the red area, and then there we go. Is this right? Why do I feel doubt? I shouldn't be doubting this. Here's a big old image. Let's hit 1, go to tab. No. In. Yeah, it's red. Red and gray. Red, white, and gray. I was right. I got memory. I can remember. Though. Okay. I'm going to select these. Once again, UV unwrap. That's the wrong one. Mesh. UV unwrap. Unwrap. Scale you down. Wrap it there. Bam. Wham. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Grab these, move them up here, and boom. Bob is your uncle and your best friend. So we made Tails' face from, if I remember correctly, his white muzzle in an ear and all that kind of stuff. We made it a little bit glossy. No, we didn't. We should have. But we're about to. In just a moment, we're going to do this for his gloves as well. We're going to go to, once again, UV Editor. And I'm probably going to speed this part up because it's just more of the same of what we've done already. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of glossiness to make these colors really kind of, for lack of a better term, shine. The idea there is to, you know, make him look a little less flat. Because he looks a little bit, if you put this into rendered mode, and I'll show you right now, a little bit, it's okay, but it's not, it's the best it could be. So, very much like this particular material, we're gonna copy those nodes, this multi-scatter that I added. I'm wondering if this was even necessary. It looks fine, so we're gonna go ahead and just sort of connect this and a mix shader, and we're gonna copy that up to the paste, to the what am I trying to say? Copy that up to the clipboard. There we go. Boom. And we're probably going to speed this part up once I show you how we do that. And we move the color of the reflection down so that it's the same kind of reflective color there. Alright. Well, so let's get busy. So for the nose, we're not going to actually add the color to the reflection. We want to make sure that there's a little bit of whiteness in that reflection, so it reads directly as a nose, and that it's not pitch black. Maybe not so white that it's gray. We're going to turn it down. We're going to tweak it a little bit here. There we go. Still reflective, but still kind of the right color. So good. Always remember to save. We're not going to have the same problem we did last time, are we? Nope. Good. Very good. Okay, so what we're gonna do here for the nose of Tails' nose, where it connects to his muzzle, or the bridge of his nose where it connects to his muzzle, we're gonna just sort of attach a different material to it. So what I did was I selected those four faces. It's more than four faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 6, whatever. It doesn't matter. 6 faces. Yeah, and apply a different texture to them, and that texture is where they actually meet here. Rotate. You'll see in a moment what I'm aiming to do here. Grab this. Yeah. See that? More or less what I'm trying to go for. Grab along Y. No, grab along X. Scale along X. Maybe not so much. There we go. It's a little bit better. The idea there that Tails is sort of like his muzzle goes into his nose rather than cutting just straight on, because that looked a little bit, it looked janky, right? It didn't look right. It didn't look okay. It looked like I hadn't thought about this ahead of time, which admittedly I hadn't, but we find a way, and that is kind of what I do. I look for ways to kind of improve on what I've been doing, and I think this looks so much better than what I had just a moment ago. It looks less cut together. It looks more like I said, intentional. So we're going to go ahead and go with that. That's going to be Tails' nose. If you want that, I'll talk more in depth about that later if you really want me to. So next thing's next. We're going to go ahead and finish shining him up, making sure that everything is kind of consistent, making sure that body fur material has all the right things applied to it. So we're going to go back to Node Editor, and we're going to speed this puppy up, and I will see you when we are done with the material section. Boom. So that's it, essentially. We have modeled and textured Tails. We went through and, well, I'll show you what we did here with his eyes. We essentially just sort of added a little bit of shine to them, make sure that they reflect properly. We went over to his tails, and we dealt with those quite well, I think. Yeah, so there he is. This is Tails. I have devised better ways to rig him. If anyone here is familiar with the COA models that I released recently, they have a more comprehensive rig than this Tails model did. And that's because when I started working on this Tails model here, I hadn't even conceived of working on the COA rigs yet. And that should tell you how long it's been since I've worked on him. Unfortunately, he's been neglected in that way. And in the future, I will actually do a tutorial on how to do the rig that that all my new COA models have, because I think in the end that's a more comprehensive rig. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and turn off the axes because they kind of get in the way of the look. And yeah, essentially this is the long and short, this is how you get through modeling Tails. Well, how I modeled Tails. And how I rigged Tails, how I made his shape keys, everything like that. This is all from scratch, as you no doubt are aware from watching this whole video series. This has been a long haul video. In the future, when I do these, I will not spend nearly as much time on this. I will just get them done. This whole thing has been a big old experiment, and I want to thank you guys for sticking with it, if you are still here. And I'm going to be hosting another, poll on Twitter and DeviantArt this time, where I will ask you guys, the watchers, the viewers, and subscribers, thanks, which character you want to see a model of next. I've already got 2 requests, one for Eggman, and one for Scourge. But I'm going to put those to a vote. I don't want anyone to feel like they're being left out. So, once again, thank you very much for watching. This is essentially the end of the Tails tutorial. If there's anything else you guys want to see regarding Tails, animations, anything like that, you'd let me know down in the comments, and I will do my best to accommodate that. But I really wanted to get this one done because it has been so long since we begun this, and I once again want to thank you for your patience or lack thereof in this endeavor. Once again, thanks for watching. I've been Rodeless, and you've been wonderful. Goodbye. Hey guys, thanks again for watching my special 2-hour long haul video. It was designed to make up for lost time. I've been more than a little wishy-washy with my uploads lately, but I want to know how you feel about this particular style. Do you like the detailed long haul format, or would you prefer a more cut-down 20-minute video in the vein of my previous episodes for this series? Feel free to let me know how you feel down in the comments, or check me out over on Twitter. Now that the Tails series is over, it's time to start working on the next character, and I'd love to hear your suggestions there as well. If I get enough input, I'll start a poll, and the winning character will be the subject of my next tutorial series. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Rodeless, the 2 is silent.